Hey guys, in this video I want to show you how I'm converting a traditional Space Marine torso into a Primaris one. The main difference is the height of the sort of midriff. So what I've started doing is using sort of back and front of a traditional Space Marine torso. I've cut just above the belt and then just underneath the breastplate. So this section here with the pipe work, this has been completely removed. So what we'll end up with is a top half of a torso just like this, and I've hollowed out the interior, and you've just got the breastplate but nothing underneath the midriff. For the belt part that we've kept, obviously the middle pipe work has been discarded. The belt part has been glued onto the top of a set of Primaris legs, and obviously the back of it been glued on just behind. Now before you start sculpting the midriff, make sure this is glued and cured onto it. If you're wondering why I've got some Primaris legs kicking around, I needed Primaris bodies for something else I'm working on, and I was looking at these legs sort of going to waste, thinking I'm pretty sure I could make a complete model out of that with a little bit of work. So hopefully this sort of does the trick in the end. So let me just grab a little bit of green stuff. The first step, once you've cut those sections out and hollowed out the torsos, is we just want to neaten up the belt, because we've kind of separated a little bit. If you're wondering, the front part of the belt is the right way round. The back part of the belt in this case is upside down. So you've got the section that would be sort of glued into the legs of a sort of traditional original Space Marine. And we're going to just throw in some green stuff, one piece either side, and just join those belts together. Now I will use the traditional metal sculpting tool just to push that in to the shape I need it to be. And then once I'm happy with that, any sort of extra can be pushed in to the middle. I'll use one of these rubber tipped tools just to smooth it down. It's the good thing about these rubber tipped tools is I think they're the best thing I've ever used to actually smooth green stuff down. I've never really got the same finish using the metal ones. So if you are planning on doing a lot of sculpting, investing in some rubber tools would really help you out. So that's it. That's step one. I'm just joining those belts together. Nothing fancy, and I'll see you guys in a second. So with that belt dry, we're now going to start doing the midriff, and I've got a fair amount of green stuff, although I probably won't need all of that. This bit I'm trying to gauge by eye now. We're going to try and roll sort of, I don't know, a pea-sized shape. Just stick it onto the belt. Now to give me a little bit of an idea, I have got my sort of torso ready, because what I want to do is sculpt the details and then push that on top. Just give me a bit of an idea first. I'm going to just make that green stuff wet, and I'm going to carefully push that in, so I've got a rough idea of what I need to work with. There we go. Now the front of the torso, Primaris torso, does have that sort of flat armour panel. So I'm going to use the back of my rounded tool just to flatten this down, and then do two sort of grooves with the bladed part of it. Just like that. Now I'm going to flatten the top of it up into the torso, because they do have two of these sort of panels, and I want to leave myself enough room to sculpt the other one over top. And then again the same at the back. Less apparent at the back, but still I want to put in a couple of grooves. Now very quickly they do have like a ribbed section. So this side one here, now I can see actually how wet it is in the camera, so it's hard for you guys to see, so let me dry it off in a second. I'm going to put these lines in. Now once I've used the metal tool to put these lines in, and again at the back they seem to go upwards. I want to use the bladed tool again. Just follow those lines I've just added in. Now, if there's a little bit of an overhang here of the green stuff, I'm not going to concern myself too much with that. Just here you can see it's poking over the belt. Once we push the torso in, it sort of poked a little bit over the belt, because once green stuff is cured I can always get a sharp hobby knife just to trim that away. But the main thing here is making sure the detail's done. So just using another Primaris body off shot. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to leave this torso to dry on top of this this green stuff, and I'm going to, which one's this guy? Is this guy? Because I've got a couple of them I'm building. One of them's with a chainsaw, the other one's with a bolter. So I'm going to stick that one back on. If this is the guy with a chainsaw, I'm just going to quickly tilt him and twist him to the side. Because the idea is he's going to have that there. So the good thing about this is you can kind of twist it. So it's almost completely obscured the back. Let's move it down a little bit. I think I'm roughly happy with the pose. So yeah, I will take this torso back off to do the other part of the midriff section. But for the time being, I'm fairly happy with that. But I just want to let it cure in that sort of position. And some of this extra stuff here will be trimmed away. I'm going to be thickening out the bottom part of the torso anyway. So yeah, that's step 2. So with that dry or cured, we're going to try and take this body off. It says go, there we go. And that's obviously what we've got so far. Now the next part of the Primaris sort of midriff is a second sort of layer of armour just above this flat part we've put in. So I'm going to pinch a little bit out of the green stuff here. See how well that covers. I think that should be enough. I'm just going to stick it just above it. Then with the metal tool and a bit of water, I'm just going to flatten it down. Try and push it into the shape I need it. Now this second layer of armour sort of has angular edges. So I'm going to use the bladed part of this tool just to flatten the bottom line off. And I'm going to push the excess green stuff towards the midriff as I flatten it down. And then the edges, they're not a right angle, they're not a 90-degree angle, kind of like a 45-degree angle, I guess. So there we go. I'm a bit happier with that. Now I'm going to stick this torso back on. Now I've just made this really wet, and the reason I've done that is because if I get this slightly in the wrong position, I can take it away and pull it off without damaging too much of the sculpt I've already done. So there we go. We can see just underneath it there. Now what I have done, I think, and this is kind of comes in useful while I put that water, is this could probably do with coming down a little bit more. Once you put the torso on, there wasn't a huge amount of it visible. So I'm going to push this down a little bit further. Sort of neaten the lines back up again. To help if the camera's in focus. Apologies, I was looking at what I was doing, not the screen. Yeah, that's a little bit lower than it was. Still plenty of water. And now I can push this back on. It's getting there. So I'm going to let that cure, and there's one last step, which I want to just thicken the bottom part of the cuirass here, just to sort of bulk it out a little bit. But yeah, I'll see you in a second. So I've been doing a couple of them. I'm not sure whether you noticed in the video that there's been two on the way, and I clearly haven't been paying attention to what I've been doing because one's quite a bit different to the other. But there we are. They're not going to be in the same unit, so who cares? Eh? So the next little thing I want to do is thicken out the bottom of the torso. So for that I need a couple of sort of rolls of green stuff, and I'm just going to position it just underneath like that, and then try and gauge and get the same amount for the other side. I mean, it's just trying to give the cuirass a little bit more weight to the bottom of it, which I feel that the Primaris torsos have. So I'm going to use the metal tool now, wet it a little bit, and just sort of pat it down into the rough shape I need it. And I'm going to use a bit of force behind and sort of push the edges of it as smooth as I can. Just makes it a little bit easier when I'm using the rubber tip tools. So again, to try and flatten out that edge as much as possible, but then gently push this into the right shape. This side round, is it still in focus? Kind of, that's better. And then where's my rubber tip bladed tool? I'll use the curved edge at the back just to keep flattening that. Then I'm going to use the bladed side just to run it underneath, try and get that curl back in the bottom of the armour. I know the Primaris Marines have three little vents kind of here, but I'm not really going to bother with that, if I'm honest. Once you've got their arms in front of the torso and whatnot, it won't make too much of a difference. But again, just trying to smooth out and flatten this side. Now the belt ideally needs to be thickened up since the first step where we just joined it together. So it's getting there. So what I'm going to do is, although I would normally wait for everything to dry in between stages, I'm going to roll out a thinner piece of green stuff and just stick it carefully onto the belt. It says, hopefully it doesn't stick to my fingers, no it doesn't, and then just use the metal tool that's a little bit wet just to pat that down. And then use the back of the bladed tool just to smooth it into position, and then use the underside of it just to bring that flat edge back. Now if you don't want to do this last step, just stick some pouches or anything onto his belt, it will hide it all really. So yeah, that's thickened it out a little bit. I'll quickly do the other side, but that is really the technique. If you stop watching the video now, I won't hold it against you. That's really the technique. For me, with the army I'm doing, the sort of fluff behind it is that Black Templars founded the world that the Primaris chapter was raised on, so they've kind of got relic Black Templar stuff kicking around, which is kind of why I wanted to include these torsos with the iron cross in the middle. And as I said at the beginning of the video, having a set of spare Primaris legs kind of gave me that reason to get on and do that. There we go, that one's come out a little bit easier than the other one. So there we go. Pretty easy really when you think about it. There's not much to do. And these little sections here that aren't particularly neat, that will be covered by the arm. That one I think is a little bit better than the other one I've been working on. Just a little bit more definition in the middle. But I will sort this left one out just like I've done this one, and I'm sure you won't notice when they're painted. So yeah, hopefully you like the idea. If you've got other torsos like Black Templars or Dark Angels, or dare I say it, Space Wolves stuff, yeah, this hopefully will allow you to customize a few Primaris torsos. And yeah, thanks for watching. Take it easy.